Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the ninth annual Symposium of the Koch Institute, formerly the Center for Cancer Research at MIT. It's a great pleasure to have you all here. This is a very special couple of days for us, welcoming back a lot of alumni from the Center for Cancer Research and a celebration of the great work that's been done over the last decades here on the MIT campus, pushing the frontiers of cancer research. I want to get started by making a few acknowledgments. The Center for Cancer Research was replaced, in a sense, by the Koch Institute a few years ago, and the Koch Institute is run by a team of individuals, including myself, but importantly also Jackie Lees in the role of Associate Director, and Dane Wittrup as Associate Director as well. And they've worked extremely hard over the last several years in shaping the vision of the new Koch Institute. In addition, Cindy Quentz runs the administrative operations of the Institute, and in particular, putting together this symposium was a tremendous amount of extra work for Cindy and her team, and I want to thank her for that. In particular, Pam DeFreya, whom you might see outside, and when you do see her, say thank you for all of her efforts in pulling together what is, in fact, a much more complex symposium than we're used to doing, but of course, very important event for us this year. And also Robert Urban, who's our executive director, who with his team went about tracking down a lot of our alumni who have spread across the country and around the world, some with known addresses, some with unknown addresses, and Robert and his group worked diligently to find as many of those alumni as they could to invite them back for this special event. As I said, this is our ninth symposium. We started in 2002. In fact, an event to honor Richard Hines, the outgoing director at that time. And we've had symposia on different topics relevant to emerging areas in cancer research ever since. This symposium does that too, but it's a little bit different because it's been organized also as a reunion event to honor the great work that's been done at MIT since 1974 in the context of the Center for Cancer Research. This year, as you may know, we'll be moving out of the home of the Center for Cancer Research, the Sealy G. Mudd Building, E17 at 40 Ames Street, a very nondescript but highly functional building. We'll be closing those doors and moving into a new facility, the home of the Koch Institute. And because literally this is the last symposium when that building will be open and functional, we wanted to take the opportunity to invite people back who've worked or did work in the old home of the Cancer Center over these years to be honored in a sense and to reflect and to participate in this transition. Those of you who are alumni who are here, you're welcome to come and visit over the next couple of days. We'll actually have a reception just in the back of the building tomorrow. You can visit your old bench, rip a piece off if you wish for old time's sake. Leave a few things intact because we're going to be there for a little while longer. But this is a tremendous opportunity for us to give thanks, really, to all of you who've contributed so much to cancer research at MIT, but to cancer research overall. The Cancer Center has been described as a crown jewel of research at MIT, and I think it's the crown jewel of cancer research for the country, and indeed for the world. The work that's gone on here, first under the direction of Salvador Luria and carried out by just a truly remarkable group of faculty who have worked in that building. Many started their careers in that building. Many who are still here pursuing cancer research in that building have really laid the foundation of modern molecular oncology. It's been a remarkable place with a remarkable series of achievements measured in prizes and accolades and also its scientific advancement, which has in fact changed the lives of people with cancer. So it is a tremendously worthy institute to honor in this way. These symposia cost money, and we're greatly indebted to our sponsors. We've received financial support from the companies that are shown here. All but two of them appear in your program because we printed the program a little while ago and didn't include Boehringer Ingelheim and Millennium on the program, but we're grateful to them, of course, as well. So thank you to those companies for their financial support this year and in past years and hopefully in future years as well. We also have vendors, and they will present their materials and their wares just outside the main doors. And so during the breaks and during the poster session, which will follow today's session directly, I encourage you to visit them and listen to what they're trying to tell you and sell you. I also want to make a brief note about your name badges. It's important that you wear your name badges for a variety of reasons. We need to know that you're registered to be here. We're expecting a large crowd to come over the course of the 2 days, and we need to know that you are supposed to be here. In addition, many of you are returning to campus after several years, and although you think you look exactly like you did back then, some of you don't. David Baltimore looks the same, but everybody else looks a bit different. So please wear your name tags so that we can commune in the way that we wish we will. Also, you'll note the colored dots on the badges, and those two exterior dots are important. The one on the left, or I guess on the right of the badge, indicates that you've paid for dinner tonight at Walker Memorial, a dinner which begins at 6:30. If your dot is orange, you have paid. If there's confusion about that, if you thought you paid but your dot is not orange, please see one of the folks out front and we'll try to resolve that. So that's the significance of that dot. And on the left is a dot which indicates that you are a CCR Cancer Center alum and are invited to that reception that I just mentioned, which will follow events on Friday. So please do wear your name tags. The two middle dots are less important. They have internal significance. Well, to be honest, what they are, the left-hand one is a biometric sensor designed by Bob Langer to indicate whether you're paying attention or you're asleep. And the right-hand one will actually collect cells from your body and will do a genome sequence of you over the course of the next couple of days. I'm going to say a few words about the origins of the Center for Cancer Research. Following me will be Richard Hines and Phil Sharp, who were former directors, and they'll say a bit more about that. But I think most of you know that the Center for Cancer Research grew out of the war on cancer. Nixon's declared war on cancer in 1971, the National Cancer Act, where there was dedicated funding to support cancer research in this country, including an establishment of cancer centers. And although MIT was not a medical center, didn't have a cancer hospital, Salvador Luria and David Baltimore and others here decided to apply for funds through this program with the argument that cancer research was at a stage where serious science was necessary to understand the basic fundamental nature of the disease before one could think seriously about trying to control it. And so MIT purchased a candy factory, the Brigham Candy Factory, and turned that candy factory into laboratories, which have been the home of the Cancer Center and now Koch Institute for the past 36 years. This was a bold stroke by MIT, and the quote shown here from Jim Watson, who gave the opening address at the dedication of this building in 1975, is indicative of that bold stroke. Because MIT did not have a history in cancer research, because MIT did not take care of cancer patients, there was some surprise that MIT would be participating in this effort. But Watson said, and I think correctly, that MIT's efforts at that time were exactly right, that the country, the NCI, needed to provide money to smart people who were doing real science, and importantly at a basic level, to understand the fundamental nature of the disease. And then he added later, and just get out of their way. This is classic Jim Watson, very bold, rather insulting to a lot of other people who might see themselves as not so smart or not doing real science, but that's the way Watson was, and he defends that comment to this day. I saw him last week, and we were reflecting on exactly that. MIT was bold at that time, and indeed that boldness paid off through the recruitment of this wonderful collection of individuals and the work that they've done over the past 36 years. We have, in fact, pushed the frontiers of cancer science forward. And indeed, those discoveries have not just led to a better understanding of cancer, but in cases have led to better forms of diagnosis and indeed new forms of treatment. And I'd like to point out that two of the first era of targeted anti-cancer agents, Herceptin and Gleevec, were based on discoveries made here in the Cancer Center in David Baltimore's lab and in Bob Weinberg's lab. So the investment has paid off in many different directions, and indeed is changing the lives of individuals with cancer. Now, some years ago, we were also given the opportunity to think about the future, the second generation, the next chapter in cancer research at MIT. And this is a process that Richard Hines began in reaching out beyond the border, beyond the walls of the Cancer Center, to individuals working in other departments across the MIT campus, for example, in biological engineering. And that process continued with Jackie Lees and myself and Dane Wittrup and Bob Langer and others to think about how we could reach out and connect to individuals working in other areas in engineering and technology and physical sciences, to bring new concepts, new approaches to the cancer problem. And in that way, take full advantage of the wonderful resources that exist on our campus, perhaps uniquely so within the country. And along the way, we received tremendous support in that effort from Susan Hockfield, our president, who actually really strongly motivated this notion that we could go beyond basic biological science in our efforts in cancer and incorporate new disciplines, in particular from the engineering school. In addition, we received tremendous support from David Koch, who provided significant funds to support the building of a new building that would house this new integrated effort. And based on that contribution, we renamed the Center for Cancer Research the David H. Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research. We went about designing a new building, which is shown in an artist rendering here. And I'm happy to say that after a couple of years of planning and a couple of years of building, it actually looks quite like that. This is the building photograph taken a few weeks ago, and indeed it's nearly complete, and we will move into that building in just about 5 months. And we're extremely excited to do so. This will be the home of the cancer scientists who grew up in the Center for Cancer Research and new ones whom we've hired and will hire, but also the home of a talented group of engineers who will work collaboratively with us to tackle the important problems of cancer. Now, as we move into the new building, we reflect on the past, and we want to honor the past in the new building. Indeed, we have decided to set aside a space in the new building to recognize the contributions of the Cancer Center, the Center for Cancer Research. The lobby of that building will be called the Luria Lobby in honor of Salvador Luria, the founding director of the Cancer Center, but also in honor of all the people, faculty, students, postdocs, and staff who contributed so much in this first chapter of cancer research on the MIT campus. And this is an opportunity to give. This is an opportunity for you, if you wish, to contribute to this effort and be included in our ability to honor the Cancer Center and Salvador Luria's legacy. Now, the Koch Institute will be a bit different. The Koch Institute will, as I said, include cancer scientists, but also an equal number of cancer engineers, individuals who come from a variety of departments on the MIT campus who represent new disciplines and new approaches, new applications, both to understand cancer, but also to develop new solutions for the disease. And in this way, we hope to promote a vigorous environment of integration and collaboration, which certainly has existed over the years at MIT in the Center for Cancer Research, but will take new forms in this new effort within the Koch Institute. And in addition, importantly, we will marry our discoveries related to understanding the fundamental nature of cancer with an effort, an explicit effort, to find solutions for the disease. The time is right, based on what we know about cancer, to begin to think very seriously, and indeed we have begun, about how to control it. And we think that our interactions with our engineering colleagues, who are very much oriented to applications and problem solving, will allow us to fast-track the development of many of those solutions. This, too, is a bold stroke for MIT, just as the development of the Center for Cancer Research was in 1974. But we think it's appropriate and takes full advantage of the wonderful resources that we have here on our campus. And so within the new building, we will have two sets of individuals, cancer scientists who derive from the Center for Cancer Research, but also an equal number of engineering faculty from chemical engineering, material science, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and so forth, who will come together to form one community, charged with the goal of working together to develop new approaches at the intersection of their fields, and I think drive the problem of cancer home, finally, to a solution in the not-too-distant future.